Hold your breath. Make a wish. Now count to three. And oh yeah, everybody! Welcome to Cinema Club. I am JP Ceruno, and I am, of course, joined by our lovely forum here at the Oye Dimelo Cinema Club. We're here with El Dondino, Steve Des TV, Jason Eccles, and for the first time here in the club, we got Chris and Stella. So, how's it going, you guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today we are going to be discussing and reviewing the film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We were going to watch the movie Holes twice, but it's whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, I could watch it at my own time. It's a good movie. But But anywho, yeah, we were watching the 1970s movie Willy Wonka, of course, starring the great Gene Wilder, based upon the story by Roald Dahl, who famously hated this movie. But we're gonna find out if there's anyone here who agrees with that sentiment, which I highly doubt. But whatever, I'm getting ahead of myself. So everyone, let's go on to our first impressions and initial thoughts. I doubt that you guys are first-time viewers of this film, but I could be wrong. Let's start off with Des, our main man. What do you thought about the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
So I this is probably the second time I actually watched the film. I think the very first time I watched this film, I was a kid, and by a kid I mean I don't know, between the ranges of 8 years old and 14, somewhere there. And when I watched it, honestly, I thought it was really weird when I was young. When I was young, just because I didn't get it. I was just like, what's going on? I see the colors, everything's pretty, but I just didn't get the actual film because I wasn't getting the message or anything. I was too young to watch this film. Now, as a grown up watching the film, I actually appreciate it way more because um, the movie, apart from being so colorful, apart from showcasing a lot of things that we still struggle with in our current society, even though it's like a long film, uh, I do appreciate that throughout the movie, there's actually lessons in the movie that I wasn't necessarily getting when I was much younger. And I really, really, really have to say, man, Gene Wilder, what a gem of a guy. Incredible, incredible interpretation, incredible role and acting and everything. And yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
That's good. I agree. Like when I was a young kid, I got most of my morals from singing vegetables, Christian singing vegetables, and got some not as superior, not as great as little tiny green haired Donald Trumps telling me how to live life. So let's go on to Dino. What's up, man? Before you head out to Paraguay, the winner of the fifth golden ticket.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you guys noticed it. Yeah, definitely not. This is one of the first VHS we had. We might have had this VHS before I was born, and so I watched it a lot, um, because we had like two channels growing up, and I would watch this movie. I feel like when I was 5, it was a rotation of this, Bambi, uh, uh, Little Mermaid, and I feel like there's another one. But yeah, we had like 4 VHSs, so it was like a rotation. But I love Willy Wonka. I thought it was great. It was weird because as a kid, I didn't really care for the intro of like the whole chocolate formation and all that. I actually, as a kid, remember kind of thinking it was a little disgusting. But like watching it this time, I was like, "Ooh, that looks so tasty." And yeah, we just thought it was so funny that the fifth ticket was the counterfeit in Paraguay, but we are the black market capital of the world, or at least the one of the cities in Paraguay is. So that's cool. I mean, stereotypes sometimes are based in truth. Can That's just one of those things. I'm surprised that you said that of Roald Dahl, because this time I noticed that he actually wrote the screenplay. So that surprised me. I like this movie so much that I've never seen the Johnny Depp one. I've only seen clips of it on TV, and maybe like if I'm when I was like flipping channels and that was on, I would like watch like a few minutes, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And Gene Wilder hated that they did a remake out of it, and I don't know how I feel about the Charlemagne. No, what is his name? Dune boy.
No, I think it's
Making
Timothy Chalamet.
yeah, Chalamet prequel. Unless they're kind of doing the glass elevator, because there were two books. It was the Willy Wonka book, and then there was also the glass elevator one, where they kind of go to different worlds. I think it was different worlds. If not,
Yeah.
it was like weird places on Earth that aren't known, like where the Oompa Loompas and all that came from. So yeah. So first impressions or multiple impressions later, I think the movie still holds up. I think now I've noticed even more. I feel like this is kind of Seven before Seven, or what's the one with the clown that
Oh, you
creates
mean
all?
Jigsaw?
Yeah, like before, like if you think about it, because it's like you got gluttony, you got greed, you got vanity, like you got all the freaking thingy majigs. So yeah,
Two
love the
naughty
movie. I love it.
children.
Still love it. Probably will always love it. That's my multiple impressions.
It's a great line, like two naughty little children gone, three
Yeah.
good little children left. See, if they
I'm
put
glad
that
that
in, what?
I was just gonna say I'm glad because on TV they've gone and censored the boat trip through the tunnel, and so I was worried. I saw it on HBO Max, and I was worried that they might have censored the tunnel boat scene out because it has like the cutting of the chicken head and like the snake going through like all that other crazy creepy stuff, which was
And
a
they
little
saw that
terrifying.
bikini girl in half. That was weird. That was
Yeah,
awfully dark
it was a little
for a
weird when
children's
I was
movie.
5 seeing that for sure, but it was cool. It's cool. I
Yeah,
turned out okay, I think.
they're gonna add that dark stuff in the Timothy Chalamet movie because that pre-production photo looked like something out of like Wonka Begins or something. That's what that
Yeah,
was the vibe I
probably.
was getting. All right, let's switch it up a bit. Let's hear from Stella if she's not off shooting some. I don't play video games. I don't know what they do in those things.
People. No, I'm here. I love Willy Wonka. I've watched it thousands of times probably. I was a huge Roald Dahl fan of just all the Roald Dahl books when I was a kid. So I don't really remember the first time I watched it, but I think I definitely had read the book already. Yeah, I love it. I just my biggest takeaway. Well, we're not there yet, right? It was just first impressions.
No, you do whatever. You can say
No,
whatever
you
want.
can say your biggest takeaway.
We were talking about
I
Timothy
just
and
get
Johnny Depp for like 500 minutes.
Yeah.
I just get so agitated with Grandpa Joe. Like he's such a
I know.
like let's wallow in bed for 20 years and watch our family just suffer and live in shambles, and then suddenly, yeah, let's go to the chocolate factory. Like he's all good, ready to go.
But as a kid, it didn't seem that weird because I guess I never. I don't know if it was a little bit of a language barrier also, or just I never caught that it was 20 years that they were in bed. But like definitely watching it this time, I was like, the four of you guys are trash. You should get the Eskimo
Yeah.
treatment. When you get old, you get put on a slab of ice and you like drift away into sea. Like
Yeah,
that.
and then like when he took Charlie had worked for however long, a week, a month for his like $1, and then he's like, "You need tobacco, Grandpa."
I know.
And then hold on, he was going for tobacco, and then just started.
I'm quitting,
feel
Charlie.
bad,
I'm quitting.
like, on his walk.
You know, be with
And then he bought him chocolate. And it's like, how did you buy it? You would have had to given it to the mom. So the mom's in on this, or you're sneaking out when everyone's asleep. Because there are too many holes in Grandpa Joe's story.
This is true. I didn't even dig that deep into it. But also another thing that bothered me is when he like starts singing his song when he first gets out of bed. He's like, I've never had anything to smile about. Like, what? Your daughter's probably like, screw you, dude.
And your wife, like.
And he's got a golden ticket. He didn't say ours. Like, not that was Charlie, dude.
Yeah.
What's this me about?
He also instigated the like drinking the fizzy drink, the fizzy lifting drink. That was like the most dangerous one that was there.
So you brought that up, but he's the only adult that instigated breaking the rules.
Yeah,
all the other one, it was a kid. So maybe that's what even kind of redeemed Charlie at the end, because they knew about it. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, I'll give it to this kid because this kid is kind of like pure at heart, because he like gave up the gobstopper or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the only adult that actually decided to like break the rules.
He's the worst.
He's a serpent with legs. Legs that he didn't use for 20 years.
It doesn't help that SNL came out with probably one of the best sketches in the past.
I've never seen it.
Oh my God! Kristen Stewart, right?
Check it out. It's about like the grandparents on the bed.
Oh my gosh! I definitely will watch this when we're done.
Yeah, just go. I don't want to. Pete Davidson, I believe, is one of the. Might be Grandpa Joe. So just
So it's recent. Oh, that's
cool. It's recent. Yeah. Everyone go watch that's like one of the SNL sketches of recent years is just crazy.
That's where I originally got the idea about Grandpa Joe being lazy. And then I started noticing it was like a common trend what's going around. But that's great.
Oh gosh. All right, let's pass the torch first. Impressions, initial thoughts to Chris. What do you think about this?
I love Grandpa Joe until like 5 minutes ago. Like he's the one that like talks Charlie into having dreams and is like, you can get a golden ticket, everything's gonna work out. My favorite thing about the rewatch is how many good lines there are before Willy Wonka even shows up. There's so many little things that happen, like between the news cutouts and things like that. They show like a psychologist and he's like, shut up and tell me where the ticket is. Like all those little scenes beforehand, like that's some of the best writing of the movie to me. Like, having those scenes where the people are just really short interactions. And even the news guy, like the Walter Cronkite of the movie, he also, you know what I mean? He definitely had some funny ass lines. Like there's things that are more important than life. I can't think of what they are right now. Things like that. I just thought it was way better. Yeah. Not a fan of the new one at all. Just felt like you were watching Michael Jackson.
Yeah. No.
Same thing. It just was too creepy.
I think that's a common sentiment.
I was just waiting.
And I mean, watching this as an adult, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's creepy stuff, but not. It's like creepy in an endearing way.
You want to freak out? Go back and watch Labyrinth. You guys ever seen Labyrinth with David Bowie?
Yeah.
Dude, he's got like he's hitting on like a 14-year-old, drugging her with apples and stuff. Like the whole movie, that's what it's about. He's trying to capture this 14-year-old Jennifer Connelly. It's crazy.
I never looked at it that way.
And,
that's amazing.
And the song about the babies, like the delicious babies or something they sang. That movie is great.
God. And it's David Bowie. I mean, what more do you expect?
Just Google his costume from that movie. He's got like a yeah.
I bet there's a ton of movies with these type of references, where if you just see it through a different set of eyes. I guess Karate Kid is one of them. Like, what if like Daniel is the bad guy?
Oh,
well, even Back to the Future, right? Like Back to the Future, it's like, oh, incest, or like, oh, is that where the whole thing started? Of like,
That's what's disturbing as I watch it now as an adult.
I know.
Like, this is disturbing.
I read a few mangas myself, and to be quite honest, I felt the relationship was rather tame. Just see, I thought we were talking about Pan's Labyrinth for half a second, so thinking about it, and I was like, does Guillermo del Toro have the moral high ground versus Jim Henson right now? What the fuck? All right, now let's end the initial thoughts with, of course, our lovely stellar intellect, fucking making movies, making moves, Jason Eccles.
Hey. So this movie is probably one of the movies I've seen more than any other movie. It's up there. It's like top 3. I've seen this one. Like Dino said, I just remember this being movies in my household. I don't know if we had the VHS or it used to come on cable, but I always remember this movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not much of my life I don't remember this movie just sort of like being a thing. So I've seen it a lot. I haven't seen it in a while, so this kind of like puts a little bit of a different spin on it. But really, what the movie brought back for me, there's a lot of hopefulness in it. And I think Charlie is probably one of the most pure of heart characters in cinema ever. You know what I mean? Like him and Frodo, maybe. Like, and maybe even less of Frodo, because Frodo turned
Samwise. Samwise.
Yeah, but he wasn't the lead. I mean, like a leading character who just is totally pure. And that's totally Charlie, man. Charlie is probably the only person in this entire movie, the whole movie, with completely pure intentions.
Yeah. And like, I just want to interject just a little bit, because we talked about the Johnny Depp movie, but not only is he's pure, but he's pure with wants and desires. Because if you watch the Johnny Depp one, the kid who plays Charlie, he's just a straight up pope or whatever. Like he has absolutely no flaws, no whatsoever. He's too sweet. But this our Charlie in this movie, not only is he just genuinely a really good kid, but he does have desires and wants too, you know, and he kind of brings it up several times in the film, which to me came across at times whiny, but it's, you know, like, who wouldn't be though? Who in his position?
He's
sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's sweet. And do you guys know that actor, he played that role and then just like went back to the farm, like he never did anything else ever again.
Yeah,
you know,
a lot of them, the movie bombed when it first came out, so most of them didn't continue.
Yeah, I just want I just want to talk about the kid who played Charlie who went back to the farm. Des might know this, but one of our professors from our acting school, he was the one that actually kind of gave him his start in Hollywood. And so, R.I.P. Stu, you're great. I love you. But he always says, like, but he never sent a thank you note. He did one movie and he never said thank you.
Well, it was a real winner when it came out. I wonder if RTE or whatever his name is, when the movie came out and bombed, if he was like, oh yeah, I gave him his break. Probably not. It's probably I had nothing to do with that movie.
It's not until you get those big bank money. Sorry, Jason, you go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, so the other thing, don't be sorry. Thank you for those interjections. That's wonderful. You guys expressed it for me. I think also the thing I noticed this time around was the gratefulness that Charlie has. He's so grateful for everything. Like all the other kids are running around trying to get the golden tickets and eating up all the candy, and adults, and all these people have disposable incomes, you know, and Charlie's like, he can't have any of it. So like him getting one shot, there's just so much hope behind it, you know, and it doesn't work out. But then like when the whole thing is sort of over, Charlie just wants a Wonka bar. He was happy to go to that candy store, which I love. Like my hopes and dreams live in that candy store. Yep. When I was a kid, I always wanted to go in there and pick out some candy. But yeah, and the store only sold candy. I mean, come on, how dope is that? I don't even think candy stores exist anymore. For him to go in there, he could have picked any of the candies. But he was like, I'm committed to this delicious ass Wonka bar. Like this is my thing. And it gave him so much joy.
The candy man actually picked the Wonka bar though. He had picked the other bar, and then he was like, "I'll take one more," and the candy man was like, "Take this one," which then Slugworth knew where he was right away, and then Willy Wonka is kind of like, "Oh, I've been looking at you for a while or whatever." So I'm like, was there a connection between all of them leading to make Charlie get through it?
That's weird, but yes, I think the universe
chocolate Illuminati trying to guide Charlie to the path.
Because there was a one Wonka bar that was on, on profile. So it's just like, take this one, and I'm just like, he was just waiting. How many of those coins were they dropping around Charlie, and just like, he's gonna find one of these. Like, he's gonna find one of these.
It's like the Truman Show.
Right.
Yeah. Then, they got him the paper route, and they're like, shit, he's giving all his money to his grandpa to buy tobacco. Like, one day, he's gonna spend something for himself.
But what if they did that for all the kids?
Oh, my God.
Well,
and then it's a trap to get those rich spoiled kids in there just so he could kill them.
And the counterfeit was the only one that was like an adult that from it. All the other one, it was kids.
Oh my God! You guys just cracked this thing wide open.
That's hilarious.
Also, that candy story is weird because at the very beginning he's singing, he's throwing candy, everyone's getting candy, and poor Charlie's at the end. And then it's like, no one paid for that. Like, how much?
No.
And
that man has a tab on all those little brats. He's got their tab.
Charlie barely takes a bite. He takes a bite, and he's like, he's like making it rain candy, and like Charlie's the only one outside. Like, I don't. That was always the weird thing at first.
He knows that them kids have rich parents, and Charlie is an obvious downtown Skid Row motherfucker.
Smells like a stinky bed.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, what that was what bars were back in the day. They were just candy bars.
That one specific.
For kids, for people, really. Anybody can go.
I would go in there. I would go.
If that place existed today, I would go in there like once a week.
I would want to.
I would have got a
ladder. I would just go. Can I just ride the ladder once? Like I'll just.
I just want a seltzer, a sweet Italian soda, a little baggie of M&Ms.
Dude, so originally, Sammy Davis Jr. was trying to get that part.
Oh, he would have been so fucking great.
They wouldn't let him have it. I read this thing about it. They wouldn't let him have it. He used to sing that song all the time in the shows after. But they wouldn't let him have it because they said he was too famous and it would like kind of take away. So they didn't let him have it. There's a whole thing about like he really pushed to get that part.
Maybe if he would have been in it, it would have done a little bit better.
Yeah,
when it came
totally,
out,
right? Get the Brat Pack.
It definitely would have done better when it came out. Maybe it depends on what was going on at Sammy Davis' career. Because remember when it got like weird and political for him, like black people kind of turned against him for a little bit. So
he had that nightly show though. For what was that around the same time? This came out 69, right? Or 70?
71.
71.
Yeah. So this might have been just after that stuff. Maybe. Yowzer. American history weird, yo.
If you're talking about American history, and of course I haven't watched this movie in like forever. I do remember once I got kicked out of a bar in New Orleans. And I was sitting in the curb and I could look through. I sound like Charlie because I couldn't go back in the bar, and I was sitting on the curb looking through the window at the side of this bar, and they're playing Willy and the Chocolate Factory. So I remember that of my one like spring break at New Orleans on what is the main street there? Bourbon Street. Yeah. So I felt Charlie that night for sure.
Just I could picture you being sad in the rain, just looking at all the people having fun, listening to who can make the sun rise.
Yeah, basically.
I just want scrumdiddlyumptious.
I mean, I sat there for a good like 30 minutes because all my friends were still at the bar. I didn't have a phone at that time or anything, so I'm just like, I gotta sit here until they figure out that I've been kicked out. But American history, though, of course, this time I noticed that when they're talking to Mike TV, and then he pulls the gun out and one day I'm gonna have a real gun, and the dad's like, "Oh yeah, when you're 12 or whatever." And I was like, they got American, like they just caught that like perfect of what like we have one American kid character, and they got him down.
Yeah. Arizona, woo, baby, woo. Makes sense to me. All right, so speaking of kids, the next topic, let's talk about the ensemble. And if we want to be more specific, perhaps the children. We didn't talk about the kids during our initial thoughts because, let's be honest, they're grade A assholes. So let's talk about that. Is there, I think almost everyone's favorite character, from what I can gather, is probably Charlie. So we could talk about one of our favorite characters and then one of our least favorite characters. I guess I could start with mine. My favorite character is the lazy ass Grandpa Joe. Jack Albertson's so great in this role. I love his bushy mustache, his go-to attitude. Plus, like, he's the only one that, like, I'll be real. Everyone in this movie is a bit of a realist, but Grandpa Joe, he gives Charlie, some hope, and it's so great that even though he did tempt him, and then he kind of had that whole weird moment by the end of the movie where it's like, oh wait, being tempted again to go into the dark side, but Grandpa Joe's, he done enough good where those two bads are like kind of cancel out. It was a necessary evil. But like, I think my least favorite character in this movie, I just hate kids in general. So I don't. I guess Veruca, because she's a brat, but like, of course, she's supposed to be a brat. That Candyman for being an asshole to Charlie at first. That judgmental Candyman who was probably looking at Charlie the moment he walked into the store, checking his pockets and shit. That was my least favorite character. Just kidding. But anyways, how about you guys? Favorite character and least favorite character?
Go, Steve, go.
I'll go. Yay. Because mine's going to be brief and short. So, favorite character I have to say, I love Charlie. Charlie's great. He's a humble dude. I learned a lot from him. But he got to be Gene Wilder, man. He stole the show, man. Just literally with that, not even saying a word. The fact that he did that flip in the beginning, I was like, that was incredible. I absolutely love Gene Wilder so much in this film. And I love him as a person. I love him as an actor. I love him as a comedian. But I love him as Willy Wonka. He is the only one Willy Wonka ever in history. I don't care how many times I do this film. He's the one. Least favorite.
Also keep in mind that he doesn't come into the movie until like the second act. Like well into it, the second act. Like the end of the second act, really.
Like 45 minutes,
It's crazy. It's almost an hour into the film, and it's a short movie. Where like, it's literally two different movies. The whole Wonka phenomenon, and then finally going to the factory.
And that way, it's like Wizard of Oz for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he is the man behind the curtain. But at least we get to enjoy this man who we've been building up to be like, oh, he's God. And it turns out, nah, dude, he's probably Loki.
What year was this book written?
So, well, if that was in 71, probably in the 60s, I mean, I would imagine. I will say the Gene Wilder thing, he talked about it in interviews and stuff like that. He had like one request to like take the role, and like he really fought on it. And it's the him coming out with a limp and the cane and doing the flip. And they were like, "Oh no, that's not gonna work." And he's like, "That's the only way I'm gonna take the role." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like that shows like that's the first time we see Willy Wonka, and him coming out with a limp, and then doing the role and being fine means that you can't trust anything that Willy Wonka says or does after that. You know, it was like it sets the character from the start. And they were even like he pushed for that, and he's like, unless you allow me to do that, I'm not gonna do the movie. And they did, and they were even kind of like, okay, well let's do a take of you just coming out. And he's like, nope, not gonna do it. That's it. I'm only doing that take. Not gonna do. And I mean, and it's great. Like how smart of him to like, yeah, you don't know what he's about. Like he's super shifty the whole time after that.
It's true. Yeah. It's a good point.
And that,
that's another one of my points too. I don't mean to cut you off, Steve. Just one last thought. Another one of my points was that watching it this time around is you can't trust anybody. Nobody's
except Charlie. Except Charlie.
Well, if you are Charlie, it's better. It's better if you just don't trust anybody. You'll be a lot further in life. Just you know what I mean. Nobody in this movie is trustworthy except for Charlie. Be like Charlie, folks.
Be like Charlie. No, but I like Dino was saying, like, honestly, I'm glad that he fought for that in the film because instantly, I'm like, I fell in love with this character, you know, because he just gives so much personality of it. And yeah, I loved it. But on the least favorite, so at first, while watching the movie, I thought it was going to be the dude that was bribing the kids with the scar.
Slugworth.
Yeah, that one. I can't pronounce his name. That guy. I thought it was gonna be him, but later in the film we found out he's a good guy. Spoiler alert. But I'm gonna say the little girl that's super demanding. Like, I want that. I need that right now. I want it. I found the ticket. Like, I hated that little beat. I really did.
Well, I'll jump in right after you. That was also my most despised character, which made me love her so much, was Veruca. Veruca, okay. There's something that always like made me not like Veruca as a child, and it's still there. So
it's also just a great name.
I love her.
There you go.
Stella's like, that's me.
I have to stand up for my girl.
What about anyone else? Is there a character that you
I'll
absolutely...
go. So as a kid, I mean, without a doubt, Gene Wilder, right? Like, and as a kid, I saw Gene Wilder, and then anytime I could see, and again, I was watching this movie when I was like 5, right? It was one of the, again, we had it. I had an older brother, so like we had this, before I was born, basically. And after that, any Gene Wilder movie that I could see, I would watch, or that I would stumble about, which means I was watching all his movies with Richard Pryor, like way before I should, or as a little kid, not getting anything of it, but watching it. And then even some of like the dramatic roles that Gene Wilder was in it, and I would watch them. But it allowed me to watch Richard Pryor before I even knew who Richard Pryor was, because who knew Richard Pryor in Paraguay? I mean, that's just how it goes. So still like my favorite. But what I noticed, I guess one way to also think about this question is, as an adult now, like what character do you like that you were kind of unsure of before? Mine is the teacher. I disliked him as a kid. I disliked him as a kid, but boy, oh yeah, the money guy likes the teacher, but boy, like, so great. Because then I didn't notice this, but then when it's like Charlie, I just thought like the first time Charlie's like, I only bought 3, and everyone's like 3, and I just thought like, oh, they're making fun because he's poor, which they are. But then the teacher is like, I can't divide that. I don't know. Like the teacher's like, I don't know that math. Like that's too hard of math for me to do. So yeah, the teacher is one of those kind of like out of the blue as an adult now. I'm like, that guy is just such a like. I want to see more of that teacher. Like that. If we were doing like a improv game or anything of that, it's like, what is that teacher doing? Like, I want to see him on a date, or I want to see him at home. Like, because he's like, oh, this is my own personal concoction. It's like, what is in there? Like,
it was like a word
clearly
remover or something.
Yeah. Like, so he's definitely one. I will say, as a little kid, I mean, Slugworth was kind of terrifying as a little kid, but ooh, that like little guy that sharpens knife, and I always remember.
Oh yeah.
No one ever goes in. No one ever comes out. Cling, 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 cling. As a little kid, terrified me. So yeah, that's kind of it. And yeah, the little girl, the golden goose egg and all that. Yeah, what's great about that cat, like she's so horrible, but her dad must be the most likable dad of all the parents in there. I feel like he's like so just trying to please his daughter and even the wife.
He
like,
raised her like that, though. That's not likable. He did that.
It's in the song, Gino. We heard them sing it.
Oh, what? It was him, not the. Maybe I blame the mom for it, just because.
The mother and the father.
I do think that Veruca had the best musical number, though.
She owned it.
Thing.
She owned it.
Did she have the trippy like? We just got a computer and we can do these graphics in 1970. Is she the one where they started with that? Was it her
she
song,
was
or
the
was
egg
that a
one, right?
Yeah, she was the egg one.
Yeah, no, she had a lot to do with her song. Out of all the kids, like she had a more, for a child, a much more demanding role. And that was, I thought, well choreographed, pretty damn good song. And like she was gonna take out the Oompa Loompas. Even the weird saran wrap thing that they were wrapping with the eggs, when she threw it at Wonka and how it just conveniently like went around him and like just fell. It's like, that was totally by accident, because there's no way you could control that wrap doing it. But it's just a good shot, really good shot.
It's iconic, man.
Radio. How about Chris?
Yeah, dude. I thought it was gonna come out of nowhere with the teacher, only because, dude, they weren't wearing gloves at all. Like, nobody was safe. He had no goggles on. Then the teacher's like, class dismissed, because like they can get a Wonka bar. And then he's like, class undismissed, when they find out where he's like, class redismissed. I was like, that guy's the man. That guy should have been more in the movie. My least favorite character is her dad, Veruca's dad, and it's because he's so mean to those people at the factory, and he's like, whoever gets it gets a 1 pound bonus. And I'm like, I don't know inflation and how it works, but 1 pound bonus doesn't sound like that much. So he was a big part of it for me. That I really like that guy. That guy is in Help. Like I knew him from somewhere, so I looked it up after. And he was in the movie Help. He's like a doctor in it, and I've seen it a bunch of times. And he's trying to remove. Ringo has this ring that he can't get off, and he's like a doctor in it trying to remove it. But he just has that iconic voice too. That actor. But I feel like there was a lot of that. And then the only other person is the wife whose husband is getting ransomed. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, that part
you can have
I had
anything.
completely forgotten about. I forgot that part existed.
Yeah. Once you case of Wonka bars, how long do I have to decide?
It's your husband.
So that for me, I mean, that was definitely an honorable mention for me.
Man, like out of all those like little side moments in the movie, which the first 2 acts, that's basically what the movie is. It's about Charlie versus the world. Like that scene felt the most out of place. Like that was its own movie. and those actors acted the shit out of that scene as if it was its own thing. It was great. It was like Columbo and what? All I want is my Harold back. I love that line. I really love that line.
It's a great line.
Let's segue into that actually, like the first two acts of the movie.
Did Stella give her favorite? And I mean, she gave kind of the favorite, but her least favorite.
Oh yeah, do you want to least favorite, Stella?
I think it was Veruca. I think Veruca is my favorite.
Both favorite and least.
I just like her whole attitude, you know.
I feel like she's Kardashians, right? I don't have nothing about them, but I feel like that would fit in the most.
Right, yeah. So let's talk about a favorite scene prior to the Chocolate Factory, like especially those weird sidebar scenes. I know that for some of us we saw Tampopo, and that movie, like I brought it up in our review, like it reminded me so much of Willy Wonka because there's so many weird scenes that are kind of connected to the movie but aren't really. Do you guys have any like favorite moments or scenes prior to going into the Chocolate Factory? You know,
I got a least favorite one, but if people have favorites, I'll let them go.
No. Let's start juicy. Let's start provocative. What was your least favorite?
I'm gonna honorably mention one.
All right, go for it.
Just popped into my head. I've been thinking about it since you guys were talking. Is literally when the news guy is talking, and he's like, blah 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 is sweeping the nation, and there's a guy sweeping in the back.
They did that.
Yeah,
I missed that.
I feel so stupid because that's such a funny bit.
I lost it when I saw that.
So kind of visual gags like that was in the German restaurant where the news reporter is standing in front of antlers. But then also when he tries to interview the dad, just takes a big old bite out of the microphone. As a kid, for sure, those are my favorite. But now I think it's the math teacher. Like we're talking about a lengthy thing before the Chocolate Factory. It's definitely the teacher stuff. But yeah, as a little kid, the whole German restaurant bits were great.
I did notice the antlers, right? And I was just like, yo, all these little bits, they're reminding me of like Airplane. Like they're just throwing bits.
Yeah.
Heavy vibes off of that one. What about you, Jason? Any favorite scene before they go to the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, a small scene. It's the scene because this movie builds up so much tension. And I forget, like, that's a big part of it. It built up so much tension, like, leading up to this ticket. And there's a lot at stake for Charlie. And it's sad. And, you know, then when he finally gets the ticket, you know, I feel like when he lifted it in the air, I felt like someone was going to snatch it and run from him. I was so, like, ready. Like, I always felt that. As a kid, I was nervous until like the 10th time.
I've always felt that too. Like I always felt like he was about to get beat up, and they're gonna take his ticket.
Yep.
It was so claustrophobic. I also thought it was weird. I'm sure there's a cut in this movie where his newspaper boss had a bigger role. Because he was the one that saved his ass, right? The newspaper guy. He's like, go, Charlie, just run to your home.
Yeah, he grabs his hand, the ticket's sticking up there, and you're like, no, don't let anybody take
it. Yeah, he was like the little guiding light. He was the little lighthouse for Charlie. Like, he gave him a child some good guidance, you know?
Although he only delivered 5 papers. Go, Stella.
Chris said earlier that a pound bonus wasn't very much, but, like, remember, I think that Charlie worked all month for a pound.
Is that true?
Pound.
Yeah. I thought he got less than a pound.
What I feel.
That explains why they're so malnourished. They don't weigh anything.
You see, I think he found the pound. When he found the coin, I think that was a pound. Then when he got paid, it was multiple coins, which makes me think that it's less than a pound.
Also, since we're talking about money, real quick, side note. So at this time, £10,000, I guess, because we're talking about pounds, bought you a whole house.
10,000 pounds. What would have 10,000 pounds been in American currency at that time?
I have no idea. But I just know that the evil dude was like, I'll give you all this money. It's 10,000. You can buy your family a house. I was like, what?
He did say that.
You can buy a whole house?
He was just like, these kids don't know how much a house costs.
Yeah.
Now thinking about it, that whatever town he lives in is very multicultural. A lot of Italian ads. There's German stuff there. Half of the kids are American for some reason.
So 10,000 pounds is $12,500 today. So $12,500 back in 1971's time, and that's your answer.
I could pay off like 1/10 of the interest on my student loans with that.
I think Charlie's kind of a shitty person now. He could have got his family a house, and he didn't do it. What kind of person? His grandparents live in one bed. He could have saved everyone.
But at the very end, Willy Wonka said that he can bring them all to the factory.
But he didn't know that was coming.
He stuck to his morals. This is
Charlie was playing the long game.
I would say, no. This sounds very Christian Judea, where Wonka is God, and he's like, wait, don't be all able on me, fucker. You got to do the right thing.
Although I didn't realize Grandpa Joe was so gangster at the end when he's just like, well, Slugworth's gonna, like, he deserves, like, we're gonna get our money. Like, Slugworth is right to have, and I was like, damn, I never heard it like that. I thought he was just frustrated and it was just, let's go home. I don't remember hearing the Grandpa Joe is gonna sell out Willy Wonka just because he did him dirty, even though he broke the rules. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Inflation calculator time, just so you guys want a reference of the amount of money he was actually representing in today's money, it would have been $88,700. That's the offer.
I just love how we just decided to ignore the caption and just kept going with this stuff.
There you go.
It had to happen.
All these numbers are making my head hurt.
Yeah. I can't divide that big.
I can't divide 2 out of 1,000. You ass.
Let me add zeros, because then I can just take the zeros away.
Now, how much would have been if he would have taken the money and put it all into Willy Wonka stock?
What was Willy Wonka going for?
Yeah.
We're done. We're done with the numbers, guys.
Okay.
Enough to, like, at this point in time, probably buy a Twitter or 2. I don't know. Let's make it relevant.
I don't see many Wonka bars out there in circulation, so maybe not a whole lot.
Scarcity.
What was Willy Wonka's net?
That brings up the value.
Well, he wasn't paying the Oompa Loompas. They were working for free just because he saved them and gave them a home. Where did he get them from? He says the country, and the mom of Mikey TV is like, I'm a teacher, and that's not on the map. It's from some country where they get eaten by big monsters.
Yeah, Oompa Land. And if she did her research, she would have found out that Oompa Land is some South American province. It's whatever. It's one of those geopolitical things. Is Oompa Land a recognized land in South America? I don't know.
Maybe. Now this is random. Maybe Stella knows since she's a big Roald Dahl fan. Is BFG and Willy Wonka and all of his books, are they all part of the same Dahl universe, or are they one-offs? Because he's making words up left and right, and I'm just like, maybe they all are.
There's a lot of books in that that he wrote. So he wrote like SEO Trot, which is about like a turtle. There's a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in the same universe.
I'm sure
multi-universe.
It's all fantasy based.
Okay, yeah.
There's got to be a lexicon, a Roald Dahl lexicon that's probably not as big as a Shakespearean one or a Dr. Seuss one. That guy rhymed a lot of fake ass words.
Like is witches part of Willy Wonka world, right?
I don't know, but I'm not rewatching Witches, man. That shit freaked me out as a kid.
I did.
I did.
was so excited
but
when
I
they made
rewatched it a bunch. But I was scary for sure.
Yeah.
But I never watched the new one that just came out or BFG. I never got in. I never ended up watching it.
His movies the old ones get remade a lot, don't they?
What about James and the Giant Peach? That's my favorite.
That's a good movie.
Oh, I did watch that one. Yeah. That almost feels a little like Harry Potter, pre-Harry Potter, right? He's like orphan and he's treated badly, and then he finds his magical peach, basically, and like it's magic.
It starts with his parents. Yeah, I guess they get eaten by the magical rhino. That could be That could be wizardry. You're right.
that could be Voldemort.
Or maybe it's the dark side of the Force, Luke Skywalker.
Could be.
So I have a question about this movie. After all these kids are leaving Willy Wonka's factory, in shambles, and the parents and everything's messed up, who's taking responsibility for that? Like, does Willy Wonka got to go to jail? Like, what happens?
No,
did you not hear the song? The song says the mother and the father.
No, not only that, they signed all the.
They signed that thing.
Tell us what the song says. I don't think I listened that closely.
It blames the parents.
The mother and the father. What?
You blame the children's actions on the mother and the father. Plus, Wonka did say it at the end with the contract. It's all there, black and white, crystal clear. You lose. Good day, sir. And let's segue to our last bit. Let's talk about.
And at the beginning, when they're signing, and it's like, I never signed without my lawyers involved or whatever. And he's like, I need to have a little safety. He has a line that says like, I need to take care of myself. So
also when the kids were signing, there was the one that had a gun that said, I sign a lot of insurance papers.
Oh, did you say that?
I think the kid was like mentioning how he saw that on television.
I have a 2-year-old, and before we watched it as a family, I was like, I don't know, like there's a lot of death. And my husband's like, they don't die. I'm like, do you ever see them again? You never see them again. I don't know.
And we did see a chicken lose its head, so there's at least one comfort
boat ride
in this movie.
He's 2. He had fully lost interest by the boat ride.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, wow.
Sad.
Actually, the boat ride was actually this before we segue into that, JP. I want to say, what was your favorite like Willy Wonka line? Because I personally,
is it raining? Is it pouring? Is a hurricane forming?
Yes.
I really like
the rowers must be knowing.
I really like the boat ride when he's giving that speech, and then he's like, "We're here. One small step for us, but one giant step for mankind."
My favorite line, it's basically when Wonka just gave up on these fucking children. When Mike TV runs up and he's like, "Stop! Don't come back." That delivery, that line is just so perfect. The amount of fucks that he ran out by that point.
Well, all his sidelines have all become memes also. So it's just like everything like, help, please, someone, or whatever. They're all just like, someone call the police, help. Like all of his lines are just amazing.
That might be the best usage of that gag in cinematic history.
Yeah, that trope for sure.
Like the death. I mean, yeah, and that's Gene Wilder right there. Like, I don't see Johnny Depp being able to pull those lines off, or the Chalamet dude. So more power to Gene Wilder, I say. What's next? Because I have a thing I want to bring up. I don't know if you guys
I was gonna say like the next thing is just literally being in the chocolate factory relating to that. But what you can bring that up. You already did.
Oh, well, mine is a separate thing. Maybe for towards the end.
All right, well, just remember that thought then. Just remember that thought. So
Yeah.
now we're into the chocolate factory, and I'll have free reign with it. Like favorite scene, line. We already kind of talked about it. Moment when they're finally in the chocolate factory. I'll tell you this one thing though. This is a thing. I watched this movie in 4K, and I'm gonna tell you guys all, if you guys have that, don't watch this movie in 4K. A lot of the movie magic, oddly enough, disappears with that added resolution, especially in the last act of the film. Because I remember some special effects that kind of held up in the resolution and in like the quality that was meant to be seen. But you see it like that crystal clear. I get it. In the nerve center of the chocolate factory, it's colorful. It's kind of hokey. You could tell it's very practical. But with that extra resolution, you realize like how fake it is. The candy canes are made out of clear water hoses.
Yeah, I like that. I paid a lot more attention
tape.
To the set dressing too, where she dipped into the whipped cream and like you could kind of tell what the mushrooms were made out of. Yeah. I like that.
Of kind of the thing as a kid, I was always tickled by throwing the soccer cleats into the mix and be like, it needs a little more kick. Like I just always thought that was funny. Just like, or like, ooh, way too cold, and he throws a freaking coat in there. Like just all of those kind of like things are just so fun, so clever. Just and as a kid, it took me a while to like get, like those are things like seen over and over. And as I got a little older, I actually would get the reference because I was really young. It's just like fun, colorful, wacky, crazy, and it's a lot of fun. And the more you watch it and the older you get, there's so many more things that start popping up. So yeah, all that kind of him throwing stuff around that are just all play on words or puns and stuff like that was great.
I just think it's crazy that like the confectionery art is made by bad dad jokes.
I mean, the creepy hands for the coats and stuff.
That was insane.
Lickable wallpaper.
Yeah. That I mean, are you licking after other people, or it's like this is my role? Like I'm like COVID much? Like what are we doing? Like
I always thought that part was weird. In my mind, I always thought it was like a self-cleaning wall or something.
Grab the show also creepy when they're all stuck and it gets like cramped. And then Mike TV's mom, Mike TV's mom is like, "Hey!" like I thought that was fun as well. But talk about escape rooms before there were escape rooms.
Hey, what do you guys think snozberries really were?
Huh? Snozberries?
Yeah.
All I know is they taste like snozberries.
I think it was like a fantastical thing, right? Because she didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing in all his books. Like, there's just so many made-up words and things and all that it's just. I think it's LSD. I would imagine Roald Dahl partook in the the recreational drugs.
Since you all have facial hair, well, most of you, do you remember the Twits? Like the opening page of the Twits, where he went into great detail of like all the things that you could find in this man's beard?
Yes! Oh,
there's like a drawing.
Yeah, and it was so. I remember it grossing me out so much as a kid. I was like, ugh, and then it was a thing after that. I was like, every time I saw someone with mad facial hair, I was like, wonder what's in there.
he also had drawings that went along in his books, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Oh
illustration.
man, I did. Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah. Oh man, I gotta go shave, guys.
I just shaved this morning. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dollar Shape that we're not sponsored by. That's okay. If you want to, right? Go ahead and send us an email.
Wow.
How about the size and shape of the everlasting gobstopper? That looks like the most painful candy to eat ever.
Right?
Yeah. It was and it was huge. It was not small. Like when it was in his hand, it was gigantic. It looked like
I thought it was tiny. I thought that was kind of the thing. It was so small, and it was like, that lasts forever? I thought it was just
bigger. It was creepy. It had like the star pattern.
Yeah. It was like a weird
Rubik's cubes.
Yeah.
It's like, that does not look appetizing at all. Like, if that thing
because I thought it was so weird because the contraption was just going all over the place and really big, and then it's like a tiny little thing comes out. So I always thought like it was small, but it lasted forever.
That was the candy that I actually wanted the most as a kid from the factory.
Yeah.
I wanted
I wanted the full meal one. I wanted the one that Violet
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh man, I could do a 3-course meal in a gum right now. Like, that would be amazing.
You know what's insane?
And she was like, I can. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, just how she described being able to taste the soup like drizzling down her throat.
I mean, that's great acting, by the way. I don't know how you can teach a little kid to like come up with those. It's like, what? Like, there's some really great acting by kids in this movie. Like,
now that I think about it, I'm sure that gum was LSD. Like, real
and they gave it to the actress. That's why you've never seen her ever again. Like, she's been at Burning Man ever since.
Blueberry pie.
She's still in the same costume, just
no. And it turns out it is just juice. There is no air in that costume. Oh my goodness. Dude,
sad. You know what we left out was that banger Cheer Up Charlie by Charlie's mom. Do you remember the song?
No. Because that was like, I said, I have my least favorite scene before the Chocolate Factory. That's it. I would fast forward that almost at once.
Walking through Skid Row, Charlie out there by himself on like the worst streets on the planet, walking all around by himself. Like, his parents don't care.
Also, what a like throwaway scene, like, oh, I'll help you, and he like sticks the thing. Okay, I'll go home now. And it's like, was that part of the contract for the mom? Like, I need a song.
It's so weird because like it is a somewhat out of moment type in the film. But I'm not gonna lie, I felt like the song was very endearing, but I couldn't help but think like the shot of Charlie walking alone by himself, even for like a little 8-year-old or whatever. I don't know how old the kid is.
It was like 3 minutes long.
Yeah,
he just kept walking.
Yeah, I like, he did such a great job acting that walk, but for some reason it could be, I'm sure it's not just me, that him just staring can be read so many ways. I couldn't help but think like, this is like a little Joaquin Phoenix just ready to just kill somebody in the subway. Like, I could just see that look on his face.
No, that's my TV, man. That's my TV all the way.
Wham! You're dead.
Did anyone, this time watching it, which of course I would have had no wrestling, did my TV kind of sound and like move like Jay Leno, or is that just me? Like, was that just me, or did anyone get like Jay Leno vibes from my TV? Because that's all I could think of every time he spoke. I was like, oh my god, it's a tiny Jay Leno.
Like, look at me, everybody. I'm the greatest thing on television. Fuck you, Conan O'Brien. God. That's good.
Let me go again. My chin might get smaller.
Yeah, you have to do it twice just for that. That Buzz Lightyear chin on that fucking man. Oh man, it's Jay Leno.
So
should
Can
we
we
go
go
into
back to Grandpa
should we
Joe
go
one
into
more time?
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
I just
What's
want
on
to
your
say
mind?
that so many kids had already got hurt when he was all for the fizzy lifting drink. It wasn't the first, like, so many things had already happened that went badly.
Yeah, which is so weird.
He
That,
should have
like,
been like, we got to get out of here right now. Let's get the hell out of here.
Because he even says in the scene before when it's like, Grandpa Joe, why doesn't she listen to Mr. Wonka? It's like, cause Charlie, she's fucking stupid. And there he goes, breaking rules.
Well, we know he had a tobacco problem, but he's like, I quit. But maybe he never quit his drinking problem. And I was like, he's been there like so long. He's like, I need to take a drink because like just
he just couldn't
so
pass it up. You're right. That
Yeah.
definitely is what it was.
I'm not gonna lie, even as a kid though, it's like I saw that fancy ass soda pop bottle and I was like, it just looks like regular seltzer water, but damn, I want that. I want some of that pop.
I always had an issue when they start realizing something's go wrong. It looks like they can still grab onto things. And they just wait. And then it's like, as a little kid, I always saw that as a problem. I was like, you realize it's wrong, and there's still like 10 feet before you get to the like completely closed up part.
Yeah, that would give me anxiety.
You gotta cut the wires, Charlie. It's our only way.
You gotta burp, Charlie. It's the only way.
It's kind of like a Rick and Morty episode.
Hell yeah.
Fuck Willy Wonka, Charlie. You gotta take life by the balls, Charlie. Just drink it, Charlie. Drink it. Who knows? Maybe this was a precursor to Back to the Future, which we did talk about in our pre-chat. So, Willy Wonka, Back to the Future, and then Rick and Morty. There's
another one. There's another one. Is what I was gonna add.
Oh, which one?
Snowpiercer. Have you guys heard about the Willy Wonka Snowpiercer theory?
I did.
There's a couple videos of it on YouTube, and so the whole idea is, Willy Wonka, Charlie makes it to the end, and he gets gifted the factory. In Snowpiercer, he makes it to the spoilers. He makes it to and gets offered the train. Snowpiercer. The guy who is owner of Snowpiercer is Wilford, and so his logo is also W. And so then there's this whole theory of like basically Charlie Bucket grows up to be Wilford and like is the one that is so rich that is able to like build this train. Anyway, check out this video. Check out the theory of Willy Wonka and Snowpiercer.
I have seen it. I have for it. It's really funny and it's a great theory, and it's only like 8 or 9 minutes on YouTube. But the way they break it down actually makes sense.
It makes more sense than could it be aliens from Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. So check it out, everyone out there.
I did see that video too the last time you brought it up, and I'll admit a much more tolerable experience than the movie Snowpiercer. Hot take right there, even though it's about a frozen train.
Snowpiercer is great, based off a French graphic novel directed by it's just like so many different levels.
Right.
I do want to talking about money stuff.
Oh my god!
Like, I do like that they brought it up early on the scene that it was like, what a great campaign or whatever. Like, how many bars must he had sold, right? Like, it's insane that he. Like, it's like 5 tickets and like the whole world was buying those bars. Like, can't even imagine the amount of money. Like, figure that out with your little calculator, Jason, of like what a Wonka bar cost then to now. And yeah, that would be interesting of like how many they could have possibly have bought.
What do you mean only 2? That's a joke. Because he's the teacher, the math again.
Oh, it was 3, bro. It was 3. Get it right.
Oh boy. Well, does anyone have, before we go into final thoughts, any last little tidbits, sidebars, chocolate sidebars?
I got one. One last thing. Do you remember when they're doing those scenes before they get to this chocolate factory when they go to like an auction?
Yeah.
And the queen walks in. They're like, "Your Majesty."
And then they bring the queen. They bring the queen back up, right?
Yeah, because he has a letter to write to the queen.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh my gosh, like no way, it's about that.
That does make me think. Oh, go ahead, Dino.
Oh, sorry. No, go for it. Mine is a little separate to that.
I was going to say it does make me think that this movie is actually a really good movie, even before it gets into all the Willy Wonka stuff. It's actually really entertaining, and all the actors in it are like everybody's on the same page. You know what I mean? It feels like the director knew the universe and he communicated that so effectively because everybody's in this world that builds this world. Nobody really seems like they don't belong there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's the same comedy style. Like even the guy who has to call the names, for the factory to who won, who had tickets or whatever. Even when he's calling the names, he seems like he could have auditioned for Willy Wonka. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was a strong cast for like other than I guess the whoever was in Help and Gene Wilder. Like everyone just like killed it. Like I don't think there wasn't really a not believable moment.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Stella or whoever read the book, which I read the book. I mean, I like read. It was probably one of those where I was learning to read English, and so it was a combination of my mom reading the books to me and me reading the book, and it was like back and forth. And is Willy Wonka American? Like, is it just Gene Wilder's like he's like I'm not gonna do the accent, like or yeah? Do we know?
I'm not sure. I was so little when I read those books.
I don't think they ever really reference it. They definitely don't in the movie, right? They don't reference where they are.
They don't. I mean, he's eccentric, and that's why, right? It just works.
Yeah.
Like you don't need an accent. You don't need a creepy Michael Jackson accent to be Willy Wonka. Let the character do the weird thing. It's weird enough.
That's exactly what my husband said about the new Willy Wonka versus the old one. How Johnny Depp was doing like the kind of like a Michael Jackson voice.
Yeah.
It just was weird. Yeah.
Hello, sunshine. The earth says hello.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know. It's definitely an experience, but not a worthwhile one.
I did see this. I just saw kind of the whole Johnny Depp thing. I just saw like an old Graham Norton clip of him, and he's talking about whoever his wife was. Like when I guess that's how old the clip is. They're like madly in love or whatever. But then he gets asked like, how do you come up with your characters? How do you know like what voice or whatever? And he basically goes, after the first day, like after the first cut, I was like, I'll do my thing, and when they yell cut, if there is just silence from everyone, I know I have something. It's just like I'm just like I don't know.
Or maybe it's because no one wants to tell Johnny Depp, yo, that was awful.
As it totally came up like, oh, I get it. You got into the point where you'll do your Willy Wonka shtick or your pirate shtick or your
or your Mad
Tonto
Hatter
shtick.
shtick, where you have all of these characters wrapped
Put
into this
together.
one character.
Yeah.
And it's not
Mad
because
Hatter.
where'd Jason go?
He doesn't think anyone can say anything bad about Johnny Depp, that it's blasphemy, and he will stand for it.
Bad. I get that.
He's a Johnny Depp stan, a Johnny stan. Anyway, that's about it.
Have you seen Life's Too Short?
Yeah, parts of it, but
It's
I
an
did see
obscure
that
one.
clip. Yeah, I did
With
see
Johnny
the Johnny Depp clip
Yes,
one.
I
Yeah.
actually watched that clip this morning.
Is that the one with the guy from Willow?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
What's
that's
his
a good show.
name? Warwick Davis.
And that
Warwick
is also
Davis.
yeah. I sent you that, Jason. I'm sure you had already
Oh,
seen
is
it.
that why I watched it? Okay, yeah. I knew I saw it online this morning.
Because I was like, oh, that's super topical with award shows and jokes. Because I guess it's all added into when Ricky Gervais made fun of Johnny Depp, and so at the Golden
You should
Globe.
watch the whole episode if you only watched a clip, because it is a good
Yeah.
episode.
So it's just kind of like I'm like, oh, maybe Will Smith should have just waited for Chris Rock to have a show, and then he can appear on the show and trash him, and that would have made it much better than just right there. But anyway, that's a sidebar.
Sidebar.
Radio. Looks like all our bars have been taken, eaten, sent, and that's all, folks. Let's go into our final thoughts. I'll give my final thought. Absolutely a classic. It's grade A. I mean, like, if you haven't seen the movie yet, like, why are you watching this review? Go watch the movie. Also, like, how old are you? A month? Like, yeah, get out of here. Watch the movie. But no, like, oh gosh, so great. And Gene Wilder, grade A, like mwah, French kiss or Italian kiss, any kiss, a German kiss, all the kisses to you, R.I.P. And yeah, A+ movie, A+++. I'm sure this is the only time I ever said that in this group chat. So, all right, on to you, my fellow forum folks. Final thoughts.
I'll go because I'll make it real quick. Love the movie. I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. I love Gene Wilder. I just love this movie. Go check out the Willy Wonka Snowpiercer theory and and whatever I mentioned some other
Yes,
The
caption.
SNL clip. I'm excited to watch
Yeah,
it.
check out that SNL clip because that's on another level. And because I saw that clip, it definitely changed my view on Grandpa Joe and the grandparents in general. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, I guess I'll go then. I think this movie is timeless and it's going to hold up forever, and it's really not flawed. It's one of my favorite movies. I would show it to anyone who's willing to sit down and give it the time it deserves, the hour and 39 minutes or whatever. That's who I would recommend it for. So if you're a human on the planet and you got an hour 39 at any point in your life and you want to be thoroughly entertained, that's who this movie's for. I love it completely. Yeah, man, there's just something about this movie that's timeless. It's going to be around forever.
Yeah, I think I never saw this movie as a movie that was half Willy Wonka and half everything before. And for me, that was the biggest thing I learned from all this. And I really think that the first half of the movie has so much to offer. So if you've seen it before, going back and watching it again, there's so much more to this movie that we forget about as kids. We're all focused on the Chocolate Factory. So to me, that's a big part of that.
Yeah.
I would say that it's a great movie, and I'm actually now, like, in retrospect, I'm not mad that they're making remakes, because those remakes are so bad that people go like, "Wow, this movie's bad." and then the parents or other people can go like, there's the original is so much better, and then they can actually go back to the original and like watch how great of a film it is. And again, Gene Wilder, amazing.
I will say this. One last thought is, after watching this film again, it made me kind of excited that Netflix bought the 10 stories or IPs from Roald Dahl to produce. Because I'm like, you know what, this does deserve more treatment. You know what I mean? Maybe the Johnny Depp thing was like not very good, or just they didn't nail it for us. But like Roald Dahl's work, and even more like Willy Wonka or Chocolate Factory stuff, could be made, I personally think. So, maybe Netflix will do something cool with it, and we'll have something to watch.
Nice.
And now we'll cap it off with Stella. Give us your final thoughts.
Oh, I just agree with everyone else. It's an amazing movie. I'm going to watch it a million more times. It's a great movie, for sure.
A million more, and with the 2-year-old, hopefully they stay awake long enough to see the whole dang movie. Nothing wrong with the 2-year-old.
We'll watch it again.
Yeah, it's okay. They're only two. There's one month old babies that haven't even seen the damn picture, so it's okay. He's got a one up on them. So that's it for tonight's review of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory here with Oye Dimelo Cinema Club. But I think let me just let me get intimate with you guys. I think Jason's got a question for somebody.
Hey, how did you know I had a question? I absolutely do. The question is actually for Steve. I wanted to know, Steve, what do you got for us next week?
Next week, I don't know why you asked me. Actually, I'm actually glad you asked me. It's not my turn, though. It is actually someone that unfortunately couldn't be with us today because he's actually preparing for a big pitch for a show that he's writing on. It's Raymond, our fellow Cinema Club partner. He has 2 movies for you guys. So typically, because we got new people, we vote with number 1 like this or number 2. And since Stella is not on camera, you can write it on the chat or you can say it out loud. Which one is your vote? And if there's a tiebreaker, Raymond did tell me what will be his tiebreaker. So number 1, the film we could watch next week could be A Fish Called Wanda. And film number 2 could be Beaches. So number 1, A Fish Called Wanda. Number 2, Beaches. Which one would it be? Let's do the countdown. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
5, 4.
We didn't see it. We promised, Chris. We didn't see it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
1.
Oh, it's unanimous. Oh, wait. It's so unanimous. Jason voted for 1 twice. Holy shit.
So A Fish Called Wanda is the winner. We're going to watch it next week. For Just JP, for Chris, Stella, Jason Echoes, El Dondino, me, Steve Des TV, and Sammy that was watching all along. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.